Welcome to the Faculty of Pharmaceutical Medicine. I'm Alice Kay from the Policy and Communications Group. With me is Professor Tim Higenbottam, our current Vice President, who becomes our President and the Chair of our Board of Trustees on the 1st of November. We're going to speak to Tim a little bit and hear about his plans for his upcoming presidency. So Tim, as a charity, the FPM's principal responsibility is to patients and the public. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the FPM's charitable status impacts its work?
Well, it is the main focus of our work. The FPM's purpose is to bring better health to patients, and that is to society as a whole. We primarily are trying to develop medicines. We work at different stages in the industry for producing medicines, but our job is to make sure that they're safe and beneficial for people. Now that's our professional accountability, effectively. The faculty itself functions in order that we keep the training and professional standards high of all our members, and that is how we bring benefit to our patient group.
Could you tell us why you wanted to become president of the FPM?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll be very brief. The main reason is that I've been doing medicine development since 1983, both in the NHS, academically, and then in the industry. And it's taken me this long to learn enough about it to feel confident that I could at least attempt the job of being president of the Faculty of Pharmaceutical Medicine.
So what differences do you believe the FPM can make to patients now and in the future?
One of the major issues that is facing medicine at the moment is the misuse of medicine. A figure, 200,000 misuses of medicines cause harm to patients each year in the UK. And it's the same in Germany, France and America. It's a worldwide phenomenon. And the problem is people don't know about medicines. And what we think we can do is to develop a very short e-learning instrument that can have an assessment at the end of it, and that could be applied for everybody in the NHS, or any doctor, nurse, health professional. And it could be done each year to remind them.
What are the priorities for your presidency?
Well, one of the areas that I really want to look at is the governance of a charity. And this is partly because the last couple of years have been a torrid time for charities. And there's a great deal of focus now on good governance. And this comes through the UK Corporate Code for companies. What is going to be, I think, important is to engage with our board members to get them to lead us and to become accountable, and taking advantage of some extraordinarily good new members that are joining us with a whole range of new skills, very diverse backgrounds, working in different sectors of the industry. This, I think, will make a great deal of difference to how we perform in terms of our patients and our members.
So what do you think your KPIs will be in 3 years' time?
At our strategy meeting that we held in October, we hope to have 3 main targets. We call it the 3 R's. 1 is revenue, 2 is reputation, and 3 is realizing benefit for patients. The revenue side is very important for us because we're small and we can only expand if we have income coming in. The reputational side is very important because we need to be known for what we do, and that should be spread around the world, not just simply in the UK. And then finally, the realization of benefit is so important because that talks to our members' professionality and how they perform their jobs and how we can support them in doing so.
Tell us a bit more on your thoughts on SMPCs.
Let me talk about the Faculty of Pharmaceutical Medicine's role in the summary of product characteristics. It's very interesting historically, this legal document that describes every medicine in Europe, also in Japan, and Canada, Australia, and in America they have 2 documents, not 1. But the detail is, this particular document encapsulates all the clinical work that's done during the clinical development of the new product. And our members contribute at each of these stages in the development. So in a way, it's what we do as a professional job each day. our members are developing SMPCs. And it is a summary of the dossier that we submit to get a drug approved. And on approval, an SMPC is produced. And what's more, it stays alive until that product goes away, dies, fades away. But the reality is, it's a living document, updated by any new efficacy, any new safety concerns. That is kept up to date on an annualized basis. So it's a unique structure. It's terribly honest, if I could say that. It has to be, because it's a legal document. But in it is held all the information that a person needs to prescribe a drug. And it should be the source of use for all prescribers. But on surveys, less than 30% of doctors in Germany, and even less in the UK, actually read it. So what you have here is this wonderful compendium, which in the UK can be got at a press of a button on your computer, and describing any single medicine that you wish to use. At a press of a button, you can see exactly what it does, and its safety and its benefits.
So Brexit is obviously a really pressing concern for all involved in pharmaceutical medicine. What is the FPM's position on Brexit, and how will it be preparing for its impact?
Brexit is going to have, I think, whatever the decisions are made, quite an impact on patients, and I think it's going to have a very big impact on our membership. They're all currently working very hard to risk mitigate the problems of supply chains, of setting up as a third country drugs in Europe. But the main thing is they're working hard to do that, and we should be supporting them. In regulatory, there's going to be big changes, we suspect, as a result of the EMA moving to Amsterdam. But primarily, people are having to work much harder. We need to know a little bit more about what their problems are at the present time, and I think that should be a focus for us over the next 3 months.
We all know that drug development is a team effort. Bearing in mind what we've just discussed, what are the external groups or stakeholders that we should be working most closely with?
We have a very broad range of stakeholders. We would not exist if we didn't have them. To give you a sort of strong feel for it, I mapped out all our stakeholders, those that benefit from us and those that actually give quite a lot to support us. First, I would start with the GMC. The GMC provides us with what I describe as this wonderful opportunity of annual appraisal, which is an opportunity for people to take stock each year of what they've done and possibly get some educational aspect to it. And then every 5 years they're revalidated. So the GMC is very important. The GMC is also very important, and the Academy of Medical Royal Colleges, because of our training and the examinations that we have. So they're a very important stakeholder, if you like, in our future. And we're currently undertaking a revision of our curriculum, and that's supposed to be delivered by 2020. And this is a great opportunity for change. The Academy of Medical Royal College has done an enormous amount of work to get the examinations simpler, easier done, without courses, in-work experience being properly assessed by educational supervisors. Really wonderful stuff, and touching upon the latest educational ideas. There are quite a number of people who helped form the faculty originally. These are groups of people who have contributed training programs, teaching on statistics, for example, teaching on our Pharm Med. We've also got organisations that are currently assisting us in training, and this is BRAP, a sister organisation that was one of our foundations. These organisations primarily work with us closely because they're guided by our curriculum. And the curriculum essentially is the source of the elements that have to go into the teaching and the examinations. So we're looking at the development of the curriculum in a very positive sense. We have partners abroad, which is IFAT. This is an international group of pharmaceutical physicians, and they are supporting us in this exercise. There's also PharmaTrain, which is another European organisation, not global, again focusing upon training. And they are also supporting us in our curriculum development. So you can see how all these different parties are adding something to our efforts.
So a quarter of the FPM membership are based outside the UK, and pharmaceutical medicine is by its nature a very international endeavour. How do you plan to work with those international members and really engage them with the work of the FPM?
This is one of the most contentious areas, the involvement of the faculty internationally. Because we're so small and because we have limited resource, it's very hard for us to work. However, we are entering a world which is now completely digital. It means that we can communicate much more easily. It means that we can share documents, training programs and things of that sort. Part of the basis of our work for the new curriculum is in fact to start to introduce that more broadly, not just simply in Europe, but globally. And it's to bring people to an awareness of what is needed to develop a medicine. The key element to this is engagement. It's engaging people from wide distances and using the instruments that we have now for communication. And that I think we can expand upon with less requirement for funding, less requirement for resourcing, and work collaboratively.
Tell us a bit about what experiences have shaped you as a pharmaceutical physician.
There was one, and it related to a patient with primary or idiopathic pulmonary hypertension who we were looking after, who was blue, couldn't move in her bed because she was getting angina through the high pressure in her lungs, in whom we started on an infusion of prostacyclin. And prostacyclin is a natural substance that our body makes, but it had been manufactured by a pharmaceutical company at that time, and there had been analogues developed as well. But it was like magic, because here was a person totally disabled, 28 years old, stuck in a bed, who then with the infusion was able to get out of bed and walk around. And what's remarkable, she became pink. And this was quite a notable thing that she commented about. And we followed her for a year. And then after a year and a half, she had a transplant and carried on with her survival with a new set of lungs and a heart. But this experience of being able to modify a person's survival chance and their quality of life with a very simple infusion system that went in and fed in the drug at a very precise rate, that really fascinated me. And that's how I started looking for other drugs, like inhaled nitric oxide, which we introduced for neonates who had the same illness. And that also worked very, very well in those early few days after birth.
Who or what inspires you and why?
The people who have inspired me, there have been a number. One of them is Margaret Turner Warwick, who was my mentor for some time, from the time I was a house doctor, right the way until I became a professor. She provided advice when I was doing transplant medicine, advice when I was doing pulmonary hypertension, advice when I was working in industry as well. A very, very sound judgment and providing a steer to keep professional. And that was a very important influence.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, Tim, and best of luck with your presidency. Please do let us know if you have any thoughts or comments on the FPM's plans over the next 3 years. We'd really love to hear from you. Please email your thoughts to fpm@fpm.org.uk.